Hey everyone, it's Wacka. Welcome you to the next tier list. This time we're going to be doing Dark type, which I think is one of the best types that is currently available in the draft format. Um, last time I did Ice, and the first video we did Poison, which it's very concentrated in the low tiers, so I figured at this point we should probably do a better type. Otherwise, these videos are just going to look kind of pointless. Like, why make a video about them if everything there is like pretty much pointless except for like 10 Pokemon? So this time we're gonna go through one of the better types with Dark. So starting things off, we have a really bad Pokemon, Raticate Alola. Should not use Raticate Alola. It is really bad, and I think you're probably better off using Linoon Galar, which you should also not use. But I'm gonna put it in Do Not Use because I just want to show that I think Linoon is probably better than Raticate because Linoon gets Parting Shot. Speaking of something that gets Parting Shot, we have Alolan Persian, which I kind of respect. I haven't seen Alolan Persian in Gen 9 like at all, unfortunately. It's kind of fallen off, but it still has a really good ability with Fur Coat. Even Technician is decent on it. It has decent moves to use with Technician, like Icy Wind, Snarl. I don't know, there's some other moves too, but for the most part, Alolan Persian's main job is to be a Fur Coat Mon with Parting Shot. It's pretty fast. Legends ZA as well gave it, I believe, access to spikes. I don't know if it got... Did it get T-spikes and spikes or just spikes? I think it got... I don't know, it got some form of spikes, which is a pretty good niche for it. So you could run spikes Parting Shot. It also gets like Taunt and Foul Play and Knockoff. Even U-Turn if you want to do damage to Malamar, I guess. Its other stats, though, are very lackluster. Like, it's not going to be doing a lot of damage, so you are a bit reliant on, like, Foul Play if you don't want to be, like, super passive. But it's still pretty annoying either way. Good speed tier with Taunt, so it can deter setup in a way. So it's not, like, super passive, I guess, but it's still, like, stat-wise, it's a bit passive, if that makes sense. Next up we got Alolan Muck, which I think is a solid mid-tier. He's kind of fallen off a little bit recently. I think in Gen 9, you're not really best off using Alolan Muck because Alolan Muck's playstyle is a little bit slow, and it likes to run Assault Vest. And if you're running Assault Vest, you're getting eaten down by hazards, and its recovery's gotten nerfed because you don't get 50% off the pinch berries anymore at 50%, so you don't get like free recovers with recycle or anything. They were nerfed to I think 33%, right? So it's not very good, and so its best set is AV, and AV is like very easily worn down. It does get Drain Punch in the form of recovery, but it's non-stab, it's 75 base power. It's not very strong, and a little Muck, if you're investing in like defenses, you're just not hitting very hard, so solid mid-tier. It does do a lot. There's a lot of mons that it checks. It's just not like super good long-term, and I think you'd either want a stronger Pokemon or a mon that can do a little bit more. Next we got Mega Gyarados, which is, again, probably like mid-tier. It's just a basic like Dragon Dancer that doesn't really do too much. It gets very easy moves like Aqua Tail, Waterfall, Crunch, Dragon Dance, Bounce, I guess, if you want to use that. The one thing that Mega Gyarados can do is stay regular Gyarados if the type matchup matters a little bit more, but I haven't seen a Mega Gyarados in quite a while. I've seen like one, and to be fair, I got destroyed by it, but it was because its ability was something that I forgot about, and not because Mega Gyarados itself is like a good mon. Um, and I could have played around it if I was smart. I was not. So yeah, solid mid tier, but I probably wouldn't draft Mega Gyarados over other Mega Dark types or even just other Megas. Galarian Moltres is another mid tier, probably. I think it's probably between Muk and Gyarados. Galarian Moltres is a mon that tends to see like usage when the meta is like really it's in like a certain state where it performs well. Otherwise, it just doesn't really perform well. I mean, I think it does fine, but as a dark type, you don't get knockoff. As a flying type, you don't get roost, you don't get defog. So it's very like when you're drafting Galarian Moltres. Actually, I'm gonna put it in niche because although I'd say it's probably better than Gyarados and Muk, there's more of a niche to it because it's more of a like luxury Pokemon, if anything. Like it doesn't have any tools really that on a draft you're like, oh, I really need Galarian Moltres, unless you really need a dark type with like good special defense. That is its one thing that it has over like other Pokemon, and even then, like at that point, like Alolan Muck is pretty much just as good, if not better, in that scenario. Unless you really need the flying type for like ground immunity, but again, you could do other things well. But Galarian Moltres like is not better than a lot of other Pokemon, even like Mandibuzz. I would recommend Mandibuzz over Gmolt, but Gmolt is good. It just doesn't do like a lot. It runs like 6 moves. It has like some set variety, but it's mostly like Resto Chesto, or it's Agility Plot, or just Agility, or just Plot, and Berserk, and you're kind of relying on Berserk. And when I use Galarian Moltres, Berserk like did not activate because I'd always get hit by like a Sheer Force Mon or like some stupid, or like Toxic Chip taking me down below 50% and not activating Berserk. So there's a lot of ways where Berserk doesn't activate. Umbreon is a niche Pokemon at this point. I really think you should not draft something like Umbreon in Gen 9. I used it in Gen 8, and I liked it a little bit in Gen 8, but at this point I really wouldn't recommend it because it's pretty passive and easy-ish to play around. Wishpasters in general really aren't that good in Gen 9. I think if you're going to use a Wishpasser, you're best off using Aloe, and if you don't have Aloe, like you're not... Like, you should just not draft a Wishpasser. Maybe Audino if you want, like, a low-tier normal, but, like, you're not really getting much out of Umbreon, unfortunately. There's just other dark types that do a lot better than it. Either it being tanky, being a pivot, being offensive. Probably don't use Umbreon, but it does have a niche. Like, it's not a Pokemon I wouldn't say you shouldn't use. It's just a Pokemon that I think there's a lot better options for. Also, Murkrow, I'm actually going to put on this tier list. I've drafted Murkrow once or twice, and I will say I have almost 6-0 so with Murkrow, running like Feather Dance, Calm Mind, Dark Pulse or Air Slash, I think it was, and then Roost. It was pretty good, and unfortunately, the only reason I lost is because I was scared of like some other prankster Pokemon, and then I realized, oh, I'm a fucking dark type. Why the fuck did I switch out? So, unfortunately, I end up not winning the game, but Murkrow would have won the game if I was smart. So, for that reason, I'm going to put it in niche because of my bias, but again, there's way better Pokemon than Murkrow. I really should put this in don't use, but I think it does have a niche with Prankster. It gets T-Wave, Tailwind, Defog, so like it can guarantee to do something, which is more than I think you can say out of like Raticate and Linoon. But it's gonna go at the bottom of a niche. Like it's not gonna go any higher or lower than bottom of niche. Honchkrow is a Pokemon you should not use. At this point, there's other better Dark Flyings like Galarian Moltres, Mandibuzz, Bombardier, Iron Jugulus. There's a lot of other Dark Flying types that are a lot better than it. Honchkrow doesn't get a good Dark move. Like, it gets Night Slash and Super Luck, I think. But it's very slow. Its defenses are very not good. So you should probably not use Honchkrow. Hisuian Quillfish, I think is a mid-tier. There probably could be a tier between mid-tier and niche. I really wouldn't say Hisuian Quillfish is niche. I think it gets drafted a lot more than something that I consider niche. Basically, my philosophy with Hisuian Quillfish is you should get Quillfish on a team with no rain, and if you have a rain team, you should get Overquill. Because otherwise you're kind of just using it as an Intim bot with like spikes and T-spikes, and I think Hisuian Quillfish is a bit better at that than Overquill is. But Overquill is really good on rain, so that's something you could do with both of those. Why is Overquill not up here? Oh, I think Overquill is somewhere at the bottom. The ordering on some of these guys is a little bit weird. Sneasel is a niche Pokemon. It has 115 speed. Ice Dark typing is very good. I've used Sneasel a lot when I first started playing Draft in Gen 8, and I liked Sneasel a lot. It actually performed very well for me. I even ran like a Violite like bulky taunt sets, and it does work out. Like, low-key, Sneasel can do a lot more than Weavile. It's just not very good at doing the things that Weavile can do. And Weavile is actually going to go in top tier. It's probably it's going to end up being like bottom of top tier, but it is one of the better offensive dark types. Actually, I might end up making a tier. I'm going to make a high tier, I think. I'm gonna make a high tier because I think you could argue Weavile's not like a top tier. It is a high tier though. So the reason I put it in high tier is because it's a bit hard to bring to games. And I talked about this in the Ice type video. It's one of the few Pokemon that have overlap videos so far. But it's a little bit hard to bring to games. But its speed tier is very nice. It has really good moves, although they're not super consistent. Like, Knockoff is a really good move, but my gripe with Knockoff is once you click it once on a Pokemon, if it doesn't like do that much damage, then your Dark type move is just 65 base power. And then Triple Axle kind of misses a lot. Low Kick is like your coverage move basically, and then Ice Shard is really good, and it gets SD. It's really good at running Choice Band or Boots, so it can do a lot, but I think there might be just other Pokemon that are better than Weavile at this point. But Weavile was like one of the kings of Gen 8. In Gen 9 though, unfortunately it's just not there. Unfortunately for Cryptics, I'm gonna have to put Houndoom in Don't Use. Actually I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the niche. Now I think about it, because there's times where I've considered Houndoom. If you have like 2 points left and you don't have like, if you're really weak to like fire and ice, you can get Houndoom, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I've actually seen Houndoom perform like somewhat well. Either like Scarf, Specs, I've seen Plot. It's not that bad, I think. But it is bad, but I generally wouldn't recommend using it, but I would say it's probably more worth using than Murkrow. Mega Houndoom is also going to go in niche. I think I'm going to put it below Version. I think Umbreon is going to go there. Yeah, no, I'm gonna put Houndoom above Persian. Mega Houndoom is a Pokemon I also like quite a lot. Um, I've used it, I think, once or twice, and it's performed very well. I think out of all the games I brought it to, it 6-0'd somebody, and then the other game it got like 4 kills. It's just one of those mons where, like, if you don't have the right team into it, like, it will just kind of demolish you, because it's a low tier Pokemon. Like, you're spending like not 3 points, maybe like 4 points on it or something like that, and it just kind of demolishes teams. You could draft it in Sun. I personally don't really recommend using Sun with it, but I guess you can if you really want to. It gets like Trailblaze as well. Or not, no, not Trailblaze. It gets Flame Charge. It might actually get Trailblaze too, but you can run Flame Charge with it, and then outspeed things, because 115 isn't like super fast. But with a +1 speed, like, you will be outspeeding basically everything. Fire Dark typing is not bad either, and the Mega definitely helps save its bulk quite a bit, because regular Houndoom is very physically frail, whereas Mega Houndoom can take a hit, and then hit back harder, and I think it's really not that bad. Next up we got T-Tar, which is another high tier. T-Tar has been, for a rock dark typing that has a lot of weaknesses, especially a 4x weakness fighting, it just doesn't die. It always lives a hit, it seems, and then it tends to kill you back. In metas where you're allowed to run Pursuit, T-Tar is probably going to Pursuit Trap like a couple things, and it's pretty good at doing such, so you could do that. What am I trying to say? Yeah, T-Tar's good. If you're gonna draft Sand, draft T-Tar. I could also recommend that you could draft like Gigalith, but T-Tar is like where it's at. Especially, I think, for the price point T-Tar goes at, like, I think I see T-Tar at like 10, maybe 11 points now, and if you see it there, like, it's worth grabbing if you really want a Sand team, I suppose. But I wouldn't recommend T-Tar unless you're gonna do Sand. In which case, if you have a Mega slot open, I would probably, like, Mega T-Tar might be better than regular, but I'm gonna put it in mid tier. I'm gonna put it below Gyarados because, actually, it's not better than regular T-Tar, it's always worse. The reason I was thinking it was better is because it just has better stats, and as like a Dragon Dancer, its speed tier is a lot better for Dragon Dancing, but it doesn't have an item slot, unfortunately, so it's kind of just worse T-Tar. But I think it's a more fun option, and I will say there's times where I've considered drafting Mega T-Tar over regular in a lot of scenarios. My league personally bans Weather Rocks, so you are probably better drafting Mega T-Tar if you want more use out of the Sand, because if you are struggling to pair it with like Excadrill or get an Excadrill in, the only Pokemon worth using Sand, then I guess you could run Mega T-Tar, but there's just better Megas and, again, better Dark types, because Sand really isn't good. Next up we have Mightyena. Mightyena is a Pokemon you should not use. It is probably the worst Dark type they've ever made, unfortunately, and it's sad because it has Intimidate. You know what, it's not the worst Dark type. I think Raticate is actually the worst Dark type that they've ever made. It has Intimidate, and that's kind of it, but its stats are so bad. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about it. Like, it has nothing going for it, unfortunately. Obstagoon's like a solid mid-tier. Probably still below Glowfish. This tier list is looking a little bit weird. So the thing is, like, Galarian Moltres is a better Pokemon than, like, Obstagoon, I think, but Obstagoon has Knockoff and it has Parting Shot. Guts Facade, Stab Guts Facade is very strong. It's basically a fast Ursaluna, and yeah, Ursaluna hits super hard, but the thing is, like, Ursaluna's attack is so high that it's just overkill, whereas Obstagoon is, like, just barely able to get the kills it needs, and it's tanky, so you can actually just kind of eat hits with it either way and then just kill things. I use it in Gen 8, and I remember bringing it to almost like every game that I played, and it helped me win a chip. I think it ended up with like 15 kills as well. Like it was pretty strong. I would say in Gen 9, like it's definitely fallen off. I've not seen like a single obstacle in Gen 9. Um, I've considered it though. I've drafted it like maybe once in Gen 9, maybe twice. I think it's a mon that people should try. I think it's very cool. It's very interesting. It just has good, well-rounded stats as well. Um, and its moves are very easy to click, I think. At least I think knockoff facade is a lot easier to click than headlong rush facade because there's less things that are immune to it. Next up, we got Shiftry. Shiftry is a Pokemon you should probably not use. There's better Chlorophyll users than Shiftry. Windrider's cool, but it's very frail. It has the Hoenn special stats. Like, you really should not use Shiftry, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone use Shiftry. The funny thing is, I almost drafted it in my DPP draft that I just partook in. A video for that will be coming as soon as that's over, because I don't feel like doing a weekly video for DPP, so it's going to be a lot like my Gen 3 video. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I did consider Shiftry, but that's Gen 4. And unfortunately it's Gen 9, and there's like 18 other grass dark types that are better than it. It is better than one of the other grass dark types, which we will be talking about soon, but yeah, I really would not recommend using Shiftry. I'd probably recommend Honchkrow over it. And the funny thing is, I've used Honchkrow like pretty recently, and I brought it to like one game. Honchkrow really isn't that bad, but I would not use Honchkrow over like Bumber here. Sableye is solid. I think it's still niche. I'd probably recommend Sableye over these other guys. But probably over Mega Houndoom as well. Sableye just really doesn't have good stats, but the thing with Sableye is it's very well, I mean, it just does, like, if you look at it, like, you just know what it does just by looking at its design. It's super annoying. For some reason, it doesn't die, even though its stats are god-awful. Its typing is good, it has good tools, it has, like, Encore, T-Wave. It got Parting Shot in Legends ZA, so it will be better if it keeps Parting Shot. I wouldn't recommend, I wouldn't place it any higher because of Parting Shot. I would actually put Mega Sableye higher, though, if it keeps Parting Shot. So I guess we'll see. And I guess we'll rank Mega Sableye while we're here. I'm gonna put Mega Sableye, like, right below regular Sableye. I think in Gen 9, it's just better to have a Prankstermon with annoying tools than, like, the bulky Pokemon that Mega Sableye is, and I don't think Mega Sableye is that bulky anymore. It's 2-hit KO'd by a lot of things. It's very slow, so it's not going to be moving first, and it loses Prankster. Its main thing is Magic Bounce, but I think at this point, like, most people are just going to click moves into it and just, they're just going to go for, like, killing it, and I think there's a lot of things that just kill it outright. Not outright, like, it doesn't get one-shot by a lot of things, but it does get two-shot by, like, basically everything. Its stats don't really hold up, unfortunately. Like, it used to be a Pokemon that, like, it seemed unkillable, but now it just really isn't unkillable anymore. Sharpedo, I guess niche? I wouldn't recommend Sharpedo, but it does have Speed Boost, which is something that it has over most other Pokemon, is that at some point it will probably outspeed something, and it has good moves. It has priority with, like, Aqua Jet. You get Crunch, Psychic Fangs. It's really frail, though, so I wouldn't recommend it, but it isn't, like, awful. I think Mega Sharpedo is kind of, like, here. I think I'd use Mega Sharpedo over Mega Sableye. Um, Strong Jaw is pretty good, and you could use regular Sharpedo as speed boost and then protect, and then Mega Evolve Sharpedo. I feel like Sharpedo really needs something like SD though, but it doesn't get it. Like you're just kind of clicking buttons with it, and once you switch out, like the speed boost is gone, and it has like 105 base speed. It's still not tanky because they invested like 60 points into its defenses, but its defenses were 40, and now that they're 70 and it has like 70 HP, like it's not really eating too many hits. Like it can eat one hit, but it's probably not killing anything, and it's probably not outspeeding the main threats that you need it to outspeed to sweep. Cacturn is awful. It's definitely worse than Shiftry. Because Shiftry at least is a chlorophyll sweeper. Cacturn is just slow, even more frail, and it's a mixed attacker. And sure, I guess it can do some things, like it has Sucker Punch, but so does Shiftry. So I don't really know. Cacturn, I think it gets like Water Absorb, but it's a grass type, so like why would you need Water Absorb on your grass type? And it gets Spiky Shield, but I think there's other Pokemon that are better running Spiky Shield. Like, I actually think Maractus is a better pick than Cacturn, because Maractus also gets spikes. I guess Cacturn, I think, gets T-Spikes, but I don't know. Shiftry gets Defog too, by the way, which I did forget to mention. Crawdaunt is pretty niche. I think it's probably better than, like, Sneasel. It's really fallen off though. Like it used to be a mid-tier, but it's really hard to draft. It's hard to justify drafting. Like if you're gonna draft it, like it's basically your dark type and your water type. There's better dark water types. Although this one is one of the few that actually gets knockoff, which is cool. But it's really slow and it's really frail. And if you're not killing something with Aqua Jet, like you're probably dying. Water Dark is not like the best defensive typing. Like it can wall some things, but it does have a lot of weaknesses. I mean, even like good neutral hits can kill it. So I wouldn't recommend Crawdaunt in this gen, but if you can slot it, like if it's cheap in a league and you have the points to, like slot a fun Pokemon, Crawdaunt is something that I think I could recommend like someone picking up. I've also used it in low tier and it did absolutely nothing, so I kind of spite it for that reason. Don't use Absol, it's awful. It has the Hoenn special stats, probably better than Cacturn. I think it's worse than Shiftry though. But yeah, don't use Absol. Don't use Mega Absol either. You know, no, I have to put this in niche. So the reason I put this in niche is because I think Absol is not as bad as people think it is. It has a really large move pool. With 115 speed isn't bad. It's above the threshold to be considered good. It has 150 attack and 115 special attack. So you can run physical sets, but you could also run mixed Absols as well. And it's one of those Pokemon that I've also drafted in like early Gen 8. And I absolutely loved it, and it performed very well for me, actually. At least for me, it was not super hard to use. Sucker Punch is very good on it, in case you can't outspeed things, and if you can get off an SD, like, you're just kind of killing things that are faster than you. So I feel like Mega Absol is a Pokemon that will probably do something if you draft it. Mega Absol Z is just better. Mega Absol. I'm gonna put it at the top of high tier. I don't think it's a top tier dark type, unfortunately. People are saying like, oh, because it's dark ghost type, like it's only weak to fairy, but like it still has like 65 HP and 16 both defenses. And the thing that it loses against regular Mega Absol is it's not a mixed attacker anymore. Like it's full on physical, so it loses like options that regular Mega Absol likes to have in draft format, whereas this guy like doesn't get what it wants. I'm thinking though that it will get sharpness, because I believe they made Shadow Claw a sharpness move in Champions. And it gets Night Slash, so if it gets Sharpness, it's probably gonna be a top tier, but for now, I think I'm gonna place it like at the top end of high tier. Um, Other things it gets, if it keeps Shadow Sneak, which it probably should, I think most of the buffs that Bon's got in ZA, I think are and probably should be keeping their buffs. The only one that I think should not keep their buff is I think Golurk should not get Fissure. But everything else is completely fine with me. If they want to give Golisopod U-turn, I'm all for it. If they want to give Mega Absol Z Shadow Sneak, I'm all for it. And I think it will probably get Sharpness with Shadow Claw and Night Slash. Dark and Ghost, unfortunately, is like, they're very similar offensive typings. Like, they hit the same typings super effectively. I guess on the resistance sides, like, they're a bit different. I guess they're both resisted by Dark, but Ghost can hit Fairy, Dark can't hit Fairy, like stuff like that. So yeah. Next up, moving on to Gen 4, we got Skuntank, which is a niche Pokemon that I would say is probably above Alola. No, it's gonna separate Sableye and Houndoom. Skuntank is just a Pokemon that it doesn't have the best stats, but it has well-rounded stats, if that makes sense. Like, it has good HP, and then the rest of its stats are just kind of bleh. But its HP is good enough where it's actually kind of tanky, and then it has mixed offensive stats with decent power moves. It has Knockoff, and then you get Gunk Shot and like Fire Blast and Sucker Punch, so it can do damage, and it has decent abilities. Well, decent abilities, I mean decent ability because it has Aftermath, which I think is a good ability for like doing chip damage. Helmet Skunk is something I've seen before, and it definitely kind of 1v1s a lot of physical attackers just because of Helmet, Aftermath, and then the physical attacker dies, and the Skuntank can do something in the meantime, like you can defog, you can get up your own, like, I think you get does it get T-Spikes? I think it does, or you could knock off. You can Sucker Punch and then do a little bit of chip to the next thing that comes in. It's not that bad, but there's other dark poison types like Muck and Overquill, Hisuian Quillfish, and Drapion, which I'm gonna put above Sableye. I think Drapion is not that good anymore. Its stats kind of fallen off. It's not that fast anymore. It's like in that speed echelon where like a lot of base 95s like aren't really bothering to run that much speed anymore. Like a lot of base 95s that I can think of are other defensive Pokemon like Gliscor and like Uxie. So I guess like Drapion kind of fits in there. But it doesn't really outspeed like good offensive Pokemon. Like most offensive Pokemon are just outspeeding Drapion, so it doesn't really get too much out of its ability or like its stats. And it's not very strong. Like it has 90 base attack, and its moves are not strong. It does not get Gunk Shot. If it got Gunk Shot, I think it would be a lot better. But unfortunately, you're using like P-Jab or like Frost Poison if you're using like a Sniper set, I think, which isn't very strong. So Drapion's alright, it's decent defensively, but probably don't use it. Spiritomb, it's gonna go like there. It's another Ghost Dark typing. It's pretty bulky though, and it gets like Poltergeist and Foul Play. And Sucker Punch and Shadow Sneak, so it has good priority, good power on its moves, good utility, decent like, really, yeah, it has decent utility moves like Foul Play and Pain Split, T-Wave, I think, Wisp, and Destiny Bond, so it can do some things, but it just doesn't really hold up anymore. It's not the best Pokemon. I have used Spiritomb before, and I didn't hate it. It's not very strong though, and it's not super bulky because the HP stat is like so low. Darkrai's a top tier, so we're finally getting into our top tiers. Darkrai is pretty good. It's super fast. It has good coverage. With Dark Pulse, you get Psych. Do you get Psychic and yeah, I think you get Psy Shock because I was mad about Darkrai getting Psy Shock against Pheasantipity. It gets Sludge Bomb. You get T-Bolt. You get Ice Beam. You get Incinerate for the scissors out in the world. Pretty good mon. Mega Darkrai, I'm gonna put in high tier. Low key, Mega Darkrai is pretty close to top tier though. The reason I'm gonna put it in high tier is I don't exactly know if it's like the best Pokemon in the world, but it is very bulky, and it seems to me like it's one of those mons where like it might not outspeed everything, but it's still fast enough where you could run it like kind of fast if you want to. But other than that, you can run it really tanky. It hits very hard. It seems to like 1v1 something and then a little bit more. And that's like, if your Pokemon is like 1v1ing something and doing more, then you're getting good value out of it, I think. And it seems like it can kind of 1v1 like a lot of things. And if you're in an endgame scenario where it has a good matchup, like you're probably just winning. And eating everything coming at you. Like I've seen it eat like Moonblast, I've seen it eat Close Combat, stuff like that. Samurott Roundtui is a top tier. No, it's probably a high tier at this point. Ceaseless Edge misses, I suppose, but other than that, if it was a bit more consistent, I would say it could be top tier. I love Hisuian Samurott. When I used it, it was like my MVP of the season. So I like Hisuian Samurott, but I can understand why some people think it isn't super great because I think it's very predictable. It kind of runs the same moves every week because any other set you try is just really bad. Like sharpness is the thing that makes the Mon, unfortunately, and the only like niche option you get out of Samurott is like Air Slash, I think, which isn't the best move in the world. But other than that, like, you get spikes and a move that does like 97 damage to stuff, so it's very cool. Liepard, I would not recommend using Liepard. It's just not, it's not strong, it's very frail. Even its speed tier is like kind of not good anymore. It is a Route 1 Pokemon. Prankster is good though, so it does have tools, but it's not like Sableye where like you're not like... Sableye has more longevity because it has like Recover, you can run it bulky, whereas Liepard doesn't have like the tools to be bulky and like more annoying than Sableye is. So I probably don't use Liepard, but cheers to you if you do use it. Crook is gonna go top of mid tier. Its stats really don't hold up in Gen 9, but ground dark typing and its toolkit is very solid. You get Bulk Up, you get Earthquake, Knockoff, Stealth Rock, Close Combat, you get Scale Shot. So it can do a lot, and its abilities are good. You get Intimidate, you get Moxie. Two of the best like singles abilities in the game. Like Crook was made for singles, in my opinion. Like its abilities make a lot more sense in singles. I guess Intimidate is a doubles ability, but I think Crook was like more meant to be played around in singles, like as a mon that like could function in doubles, if that makes sense. But that just means like it's a well-rounded Pokemon, and it just doesn't have tools that make it like broken or like super overwhelming. Like I personally like really never have lost to a Crocodile before, but some people really like Crook. I like Crocodile a lot. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. I love its design quite a bit. Scrafty is gonna be niche. There's a lot of niche Pokemon. I mean, there's just always niche Pokemon. Like, there's always gonna be those Pokemon that like they're banned, you're top tier, high tier, like solid mid tier. And if you're not a mid tier, like you're basically niche, or like you shouldn't use it. So most Pokemon end up landing in niche. Scrafty is one of those Pokemon. I think it's a good Terra Captain, but I think Dark Fighting isn't actually good typing anymore. There's just too many fairies, and even Pokemon that get like fairy coverage now. Like there's a lot of Pokemon that get like Alluring Voice or like Dazzling Gleam. specifically like psychic types, which is something that Scrafty would want to deal with, but because it's 4 times weak to fairy, like it just can't handle a lot of things, and it's not very fast. Its HP is pretty low as well. But it does have Intimidate, and it has Moxie, just like Crook. And it gets like Shed Skin too, so it's fine, I guess. But it's not better than most other Pokemon. Actually, what am I doing putting it down here? I think I'm actually going to put it above Sableye. It's also one of those Pokemon that got Parting Shot in Legends EA, so if it, assuming it keeps Parting Shot, I think Scrafty's going to be a really good Parting Shot user because it's a bulky Pokemon that can pivot around, and even like Shed Skin can make it like a status absorber in a way if you want to run it that way, but you're probably using it like as an Intimidate Pokemon with Parting Shot. Like Intimidate plus Parting Shot is going to be pretty good with Scrafty. Kind of like what Incineroar does, and we'll get to Incineroar soon. Mega Scrafty I think is going to be mid-tier. I'm going to put it above Alolan Muck. I think it's the better of the Dark-type Megas that are in mid-tier. It's a bit bulkier and it hits hard now, whereas regular Scrafty doesn't really hit that hard, but Mega Scrafty has the attack stat to hit hard finally. I think they increased its speed like 10 points as well, and then they increased its defenses by like 20 points each, I think. So it's very bulky. Its low HP pool actually kind of works out for it because Drain Punch will probably heal you for more than you're doing to a lot of things. Kind of like how like Diancie Draining Kiss, like you might do like 30% to like Drapion with Draining Kiss Diancie, but you're healing back like 40%, if that makes sense. Maybe not Drapion, but like a lot of Pokemon have like high HP pools. Like Mega Scrafty might do like 45% with Drain Punch to Tinglu, but you're healing back to full, basically. So I think Scrafty's pretty cool. Dragon Dance might be pretty real on it as well, but I think you're probably going to want to use Bulk Up on it and just like Drain Punch things and use your coverage moves to hit things. Pretty cool Mon. I'm going to assume like someone will draft Mega Scrafty in like SDS. I think it's a cool Mon. Zoroark, don't use Zoroark. I will put it at the top of don't use. But most people will draft Zoroark because Illusion, and unfortunately, like it's just so much worse than Hisuian Zoroark, which does a lot better than it because Hisuian Zoroark has 3 immunities, whereas regular Zoroark has 1, and regular Zoroark will die when it gets hit by like any move. As someone that's used Hisuian Zoroark, like I've had to run Sash on it like every time I've used it. So if you're like forced to run Sash, then I guess you're not like very strong. It's excuse me. Its special attack isn't very strong either. Bisharp is niche. I'm gonna put it below Moltres, above Umbreon. I've actually used Bisharp pretty recently in a team tour, and I loved Bisharp actually. It was really tanky. And Defiant's a good ability for it. It deters a lot of Intimidate spam, obviously. It deters a lot of things from like dropping its speed. You can use this as like a Torn T switch, and even though it might click knockoff, but if it like Bleak Wind Storm speed drops you, you actually get... Oh no, it's not contrary. Never mind. But you do get a Defiant boost, I suppose. So like you get +2, and then you can Sucker Punch shit. You can knock off that +2. You can Iron Head. Like it's Bisharp. Bisharp has always been good. It's just now that it has an evolution in King Gambit, like people just don't look at Bisharp anymore. But I think I'd rather use Bisharp than King Gambit. King Gambit though is a high tier regardless. It just has really good stats. It's super well rounded, and it everything in its toolkit just kind of works out for it. Like Kowtow Cleave is just a good move. Sucker Punch, Supreme Overlord is very good at endgame scenarios. Like, it really does just kind of win endgame scenarios, and Most people just can't beat it at some points. If you're gonna use it as like a Terra Captain, like you could. Without Terra though, like it's not the best Pokemon in the world. It's actually another Pokemon that I actually ran Focus Sash on quite a bit. Even though I just said it was really tanky, it's just that there's so many Pokemon that get fighting coverage that I was scared to death that people just use their fighting coverage on King Gambit, and if only like they did end up using their fighting coverage on it. Like if I didn't have Focus Sash a lot of the time, like I would have just kind of lost my King Gambit. But King Gambit can do a lot more than just like endgame Supreme Overlord. I actually like Defiant King Gambit a lot. Mandibuzz, I don't care what anyone says, but it's a top tier Dark type. It's not that many points anymore. Like it might be like 10 points, but I think as it's a Pokemon that you should use. So I'm gonna put it at top tier just to make people mad, but you should use Mandibuzz. It's one of the best Gloomons I've ever used. It's helped me win so many games. U-turn is awesome. It has a speed tier where you can be slow, but you could also be faster than like other things if you need to be. Foul Play makes it not super passive. It gets Defog, you get Toxic, you get Roost. Even in Paldex, it's one of the few Pokemon in Paldex that gets Toxic. So you could do that. I love Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is my queen. And you should use it. I'm also going to rank Volibee, but I'm going to put it in don't use. I mean, definitely use it in Little Cup if you want to, but don't use Volibee. Even though it's like, it might be a good Violate Mon, but it really isn't. Hydreigon, I think at this point is a mid-tier. Kind of like this crafty thing I was mentioning, there's just a lot of fairy types now, and a lot of Pokemon that get fairy type coverage. Hydreigon's speed tier doesn't really keep up anymore. It's not faster than a lot of things. Even its special attack stat, like 125 is good, but there's so many other Pokemon that have just better special attack stats and like better moves, better speed, better setup, because like Hydreigon's just very clunky. If you want to boost your speed, you're gonna have to click Dragon Dance because you don't get agility. If you want to boost your special attack, you click Plot. And yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, you should give Hydreigon Quiver Dance. No, I'm saying you should give it like agility at least, but it doesn't get agility, and like it's just very clunky. And when you're clicking Dragon Dance, then your attack stat could be higher than your special attack stat. At that point, like, might as well just run a Dragon Dance set, but it's a very piss poor Dragon Dancer. It's a good Dragon Dancer if you're using it as like a Terra Captain though, but most people probably aren't picking Hydreigon to be their Terra Captain anymore, so especially I don't think people are really playing like Terra formats anymore. Most people are like on the ZA stuff because they want to use the new Megas, and I get it. And most people are like, no, we don't really care about Terra anymore right now. Greninja is gonna go top of top tier. It is, so far, it's the best Dark type on the board. Not on like every draft board. It might be the best Dark type. No, there's one more that's better than Gran. You know, I personally don't really like Gren, but after using it so many times in the last year, it's definitely grown a lot on me. I love Life Orb, I love Choice Specs, I love Scarf even. You get Nasty Plot now in ZA, you get SD with your 95 attack stat, but it has decent moves. Mostly on the special side though, you're probably running like Surf, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, U-turn. You can run Protein if you want to run like coverage, like Sludge Wave. You can do that. It has a good priority move with Water Shuriken, which isn't super strong, but you could potentially break subs with it and do damage after that. But I think Gren is just a really solid revenge killer. It's kind of like anti-Ursaluna Trick Room because like you can damage Ursaluna with like whatever it's trying to set up the Flame Orb on, and then at that point like Greninja can probably kill it with Water Shuriken. So a lot of people that are scared of Ursaluna, like Greninja, like priority Water Shuriken, like outspeeds Trick Room, so you could just use Water Shuriken. And the reason I put Water Shuriken above like Aqua Jet is because you hit multiple times um, for at least like 30 base power. Oftentimes you get more out of it. Like you can get up to 75 base power out of Water Shuriken. If you're running like Life Orb or Specs, like you're getting a lot more damage out of it. And then Greninja has Battle Bond. So it can instantly turn it into like an endgame sweeper where it outspeeds everything and just, it seems like it barely KOs a lot of things. It does need a lot of help chipping things down, but I do think it's the best dark type that we've seen so far. Mandibuzz, if anyone's wondering, I think Mandibuzz is actually like about here. I would use Mandibuzz over everything, but I'm gonna keep it in top tier because fuck everybody. Ashgren isn't real anymore. Mega Greninja is also gonna be top tier. It might be bannable, but in my experience using it, although to be fair, I was using it with Corrin. It was confirmed to get protein, so I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't think Mega Gren is like bannable. I was having a hard time slotting Nasty Plot on it personally, and I think Greninja kind of likes its item slot a lot more than I thought it would. But I guess it makes sense because regular Gren loves like Choice Specs and Life Orb. And Choice Specs and Life Orb is a lot stronger than whatever Mega Gren is. And Mega Gren is still like not super bulky. It's not frail though, because it got 10 in both its defenses, which isn't bad. And it has a lot better speed. It speed ties Dragapult, which is very important actually. All the things that outspeeds is actually like super important for Gren. Like you outspeed Koko, you outspeed like non-booster speed Pokemon like Bundle. At that point, you outspeed like Mega Lopunny, which is an important matchup. Well, Mega Lopunny gets Mach Punch now, so it might not be like the best thing in the world. Yeah, Gren is probably gonna be the best Dark type in. Excuse me, it's gonna be the best Dark type that isn't banned, I think. Unless my opinion changes by the end of the video, but we'll see. Ashgren I'm not gonna rank because Ashgren is retconned. Pangoro is gonna go in bottom of niche, I think. I'm gonna put it above Sneasel. Pangoro is just another Pokemon that has like, it has a good HP, but it's not super bulky. It's very slow, very weak to Fairy. It has okay coverage, but it's dark fighting, so again, like you're just gonna die to Fairy move, or even like fighting move, and it's not super specially bulky. And I think there's even just better Pokemon that hit harder than it. Like, I feel like it used to hit like really hard, but 124 isn't like the highest stat anymore. Scrappy isn't really necessary on it either because it's a dark type, so I guess. And then other than that, I believe Parting Shot used to be its signature move, but now that Parting Shot seems to be getting distributed on a lot more Pokemon like Scrafty and Sableye, there's like less and less reason to use Pangoro when like the other Pokemon are a lot better at using Parting Shot than it. So I really wouldn't say like Pangoro, like you should draft Pangoro because it has Parting Shot, but you should draft Pangoro because it's a bear and it has a cool design. And I think this is what Urshifu should have been, and well, this is just Urshifu. They didn't need to make Urshifu, they had Pangoro. They could have just made a Pangoro evolution or like Mega Pangoro. But unfortunately they won't make Mega Pangoro because Mega Pangoro is just fucking Urshifu. So yeah, that's why they won't make Mega Weavile either, because we have Chien-Pao. Don't use Malamar. I'm gonna put it above Mightyena, but I swear to God, like, do not use Malamar. Psychic Dark is an awful typing. It has awful stats. Nothing above like 88. I'm also gonna put Mega Malamar and do not use. I think they will give Mega Malamar a good ability because they gave Mega Scovillain like an ability where it just burns everything that touches it. And I don't think you have to touch Scovillain, like you just have to damage Scovillain and it just burns you. If they give Mega Malamar like an ability that's like stupid like that, like it'll be decent. Probably nothing higher than niche because it's still slow And like, why is its special defense its highest stat now? When it was like its lowest stat prior, and then they increase its speed, but not enough to like justify it being a good Pokemon because 88 is still awful. Its special attack and its attack are still like what, like 102 and like 98 or something like that. Like that's fucking awful. Like you should not use those are not mega stats. Like Mega Malamar looks like a mid-tier Gen 5 mon. You should not use it. Do not use Malamar. Yveltal is gonna go in banned because it is like a top 5 mon in even like Ubers. So I love Yveltal. I would recommend it in Ubers, but in regular draft it's gonna get banned. But I guess what I could say about Yveltal as someone that's used it is it's a bit harder to build with than I thought it would be. It's just because its mix stats are so good that like you have a lot of options, but sometimes like both options seem either good enough or just not good enough in some scenarios, so it's kind of hard to like, if you're not super smart like I am, and people will argue with me, but there's times where like I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing, or like not running Pokemon the right way. Yveltal is like one of those Pokemon where like if you don't know what you're doing, like you might kind of struggle to come up with a set for it, I guess. But it is a good Pokemon, and Darkor is awesome. I will say, I think Physical is a lot better than, or I'm sorry, Special is a lot better than Physical. I think I preferred running Dark Pulse over like Knockoff in most scenarios, and it's because I don't really like Knockoff as a move. Anyways, Hoopa Unbound is a mid-tier. It's gonna... actually, I think where I put it is fine. It's another Psychic Dark type that is kind of slow-ish, but you can run an item on it. See, Hoopa Unbound is what Mega Malamar is. Like, there's no reason to use Mega Malamar because you have Hoopa Unbound that doesn't use your Mega slot. And at this point, like, Hoopa Unbound is probably tiered at a place where it's worth drafting if you really want to use something of its power. And it's really strong. It has a really good base stat total, very high both attack and special attack, and good special bulk. So you can run it AV, you can run it physical, special, spec, scarf, band. It can do a lot. But it's a Psychic Dark typing, so the second you click U-turn, and it has like 60 defense, second you click U-turn, it dies. Next up we got Incineroar. Incineroar is a niche Pokemon that I think if Scrafty ends up keeping Parting Shot, I think it'll be better. Yeah, it'll be better than Incineroar. Reason is because Scrafty doesn't have to run Boots. Whereas Incineroar is like forced to run Boots if you're using it as like a Parting Shot mon. I've used Incineroar before and it's alright, but the thing I liked about Incineroar is actually running like Choice Band Flare Blitz or like Choice Band Knockoff. Hits hard. I think Fire Dark is a really good typing offensively. And Incineroar is pretty special in the case where you could run either special or physical. And it's, I think, the best physical Fire Dark type, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I'm forgetting about someone like really stupid, but from what I've seen, it's the best one. So it has that going for it, but I think if Scrafty actually gets Parting Shot for real, Scrafty is just better at doing the things that Incin does, because Scrafty takes 6% from rocks and Incin takes 25% from rocks. Next up we got Guzzlord. I think Guzzlord's a niche Pokemon. It's just that its HP stat is so high that I think you can run AV on it and run like Adamant Max Attack, and it can do a lot. It can tank a lot of hits. I've seen it eat fairy hits before because of AV. So it can, and it has Heavy Slam. I mean, you just fucking look at it, like that thing's heavy as fuck. Like you're probably doing a lot of damage to the fairies. So they struggle to come in on you. You also get like Sludge Bomb and like Sludge Wave, I think. So yeah, you get a bunch of coverage with it. It has really good moves, and I think Guzzlord. I would use Guzzlord over like Sneasel maybe. Sneasel seems like the niche tier seems to be like tiered up itself. Like this top end of niche is like good, and there's like the bottom end. I'm actually gonna move some of these guys. I think I'm gonna go put Moltres up there. Put you up there. I'm not gonna put you up there actually. I think I just didn't feel right having Moltres in niche. Moltres is in mid tier. I think it's solid enough to be in mid tier. Whereas these guys feel, I think it's very ordered. Like Bisharp is a lot better than Murkrow. I think I'm gonna have to move Murkrow down to don't use. But I will keep it tiered because there is reason. No, because there's reason to use it, so you should, yeah, niche. That's the definition of niche. I think maybe Zora goes in niche then too. Okay, I think I feel a little bit better about the tiering, although I didn't really change much. Thievul is a do not use. It has like the same pose as Liepard. That's really cool. I'm gonna keep them together. It might be worse than like. I'd probably only put it below Absol. I think maybe. No, I like the positioning of these guys. Like they have the same pose. It's really cool. Thievul is awful. It has awful stats. It's not slow, but it's not fast. It's not strong, so don't use it. Then we got Morgrem, which is niche. Even Impidimp is like low-key niche. I've seen Impidimp get drafted in singles before. That wasn't like a Little Cup. Just because it has Prankster. And Morgrem goes there too. But Morgrem is better. But in case someone drafts Morgrem, then I guess you can draft Impidimp. Like, Impidimp does have, like, a play. Like, I have seen it once before. Like, someone sniped Morgrem from someone, so they just took Impidimp. It was really funny. I wouldn't really recommend it, but the fact that I've seen it before, like, I have to put some respect on Impidimp's name, unfortunately. Grimmsnarl, yeah, I'll put it there. Grimm is a Pokemon, I think it's, like, not the hardest to prep around. You tend to just run, like, Clear Amulet on something so it can't Parting Shot you. And then, like, you basically trap it in because of it, and then you just, like, do heavy damage to it. I mean, it has really bad 4 move slot syndrome. Like, oftentimes, like, its best stat is its attack stat, and it gets good setup moves, like Bulk Up. And good physical moves, like the Elemental Punches. I think you get Drain Punch, and you get Darkest Lariat, you get Spirit Break. I guess his moves aren't, like, that good, but it's good enough for Grimmsnarl. It just wants to run, like, everything at once. Like, you want Parting Shot, you want T-Wave, you want Dual Screens, you want a move that does damage, you probably want Sucker Punch. It really struggles with 4 move slot syndrome. I've used Grimmsnarl before, like, years ago, and I think I liked it. But I haven't used it again since, and it's one of those mons where I was looking at it recently, and I think I might consider using it again. I like its design a lot. So it has that going for it. Gmax Grimmsnarl, I'm not ranking. Morpeko has Rapid Spin, so it's gonna have a niche no matter what. And I think Aura Wheel is actually a really good move. With its attack stat being like 97, is it 95, 97, I think? Aura Wheel's not weak. And being able to switch typings between the Aura Wheels is pretty cool. It is the only electric dark type, so have fun with that. But it gets Rapid Spin, you get knockoff, so it has a niche. Like if you really need a removal, if you really need a mon with like Parting Shot, maybe. If you really need a Pokemon that can kind of sweep endgame if everything is at like 30%, Morpeko's your guy. I like Morpeko a lot, actually. Low key, I think Choice Band Morpeko could be like the GOAT. Because 110 base power, like non it's not like super punishable other than the fact that its typing changes between dark and electric. Like you could get punished by that fact, but in an endgame scenario, like electric and dark like aren't the worst typings to be locked into. Urshifu is gonna go above King Gambit. Urshifu's really fallen off, unfortunately. Um, it's just slow. It's a fighting dark type. I've already talked about it like 10 million times. Fighting dark type is not super great anymore, but it's pretty slow. It has not good special bulk. And Wicked Blow is nerfed in Gen 9, so like all those factored together that like there's just better Pokemon than Urshifu at this point. Um, most people have learned how to like play around it, and I actually think it might get nerfed even more in Champions because I believe um, Mega Excadrill got an ability where like its contact moves do like a quarter damage through Protect, and it makes me think that they're gonna make Unseen Fist the same way. Because why would they give Excadrill like a worse Unseen Fist? That doesn't make sense to me unless they're like actually nerfing it. So I think they might be nerfing it. Next up, we got Zarude. I think Zarude is like bottom of mid tier. I don't like Zarude actually. Grass Dark is an awful typing in most scenarios, and while it's kind of fast, it's now I think about it though, it's not the typing that sucks. It's the fact that it's one of the best Terra captains. I kind of have to put it in a high tier, unfortunately, and it does have good tools. So the reason I put it in mid tier originally because I think Grass Dark typing is awful, but with its tools it's like all right. The reason I'm actually putting it in high tier is because it is the best Terra captain in like most leagues that are using Terra. So I think if you're using Terra, it's a high tier. If you're not using Terra, it's like below. It's like here. But I think with Terra, like it's a high tier, top tier, kind of averages out to be there because otherwise like Terra Zarude is just the best there. So I don't know if I'm making sense because I'm starting to lose my voice and I want to end the video soon. So let's move on to Overqwil. Overqwil is a mid tier. I think it's better than Hydreigon. If you're using Overqwil on Rain, very good Pokemon. People cannot switch into +2 Life Orb Overqwil to save a life. And if you're using it as a Terra Captain especially, like, there's no switch-ins to Overqwil. There's switch-ins, but, I mean, it's super hard to handle, unfortunately, for most people. And outside of that, you get T-Spikes, you get Spikes, you get Intimidate. You get Barb Barrage, which is a cool move that poisons things and then also like does more damage if things are poisoned, so it's very cool. I like Overqwil a lot. Then we got Meowscarada. So this is the Pokemon I think might be better. It's better than Gren, but not better than Mega Gren, I think. It might be better than Mega Gren. Probably not. I mean, Mega Gren is one of those Pokemon where like it's probably worth getting the Mega Stone on it, or it's like worth using the Mega Slot for it probably. Meowscarada is not a Mega Slot, but it's good. It's faster than regular Gren. Flower Trick is awesome. U-Turn is awesome. You get Knockoff. You get Low Kick. You get Leaf Storm. You get Dark Pulse, Nasty Plot, Triple Axle. It does a lot of things for you. And I like Meowscarada is insanely good. I don't really have a lot of success with Meow, but most people are seeing that Meow is like a top 5 Mon in like the draft format as a whole. At least before like the ZA Megas came out, because I think there's a couple ZA Megas that are better than Meow. Like this guy and like maybe Delphox. Um, so maybe Meow is like not top 5 anymore, but it might still be like top 10 in the format. Next up we got Low Kicks. Low Kicks is niche. I'm gonna put it like there. I'm gonna put it there. Decent low tier Terror Captain. First impressions very solid. It's very consistent. You also get Sucker Punch. Tinted Lens helps it a lot with doing damage and revenge killing things. You also get like SD. You get Leech Life to heal up because I feel like Low Kicks can live a hit. A Low Kicks is awesome. It's just like one of those like early game bugs that ends up actually like doing a lot for you. Although I think Tinted Lens might be a hidden ability, but I don't know. Next up we got Mabostiff, which is niche again. It's better than Houndoom. It's better than Spiritomb. It might be. It's probably gonna go there. I think it's worse than Skuntank. It's just a pure dark typing with like Intimidate and like Stakeout or Guard Dog. It has 3 good abilities. Well, Guard Dog isn't good on Mabo, I think. I think it would have preferred Defiant. But it's fine with an Intim or Stakeout. It's the best user of the Stakeout ability for sure. If you force a swap, you do double damage. If you're Choice Band, like you're kind of doing just a lot of damage to things. And things aren't going to want to switch around on you. That's like the one thing Mabo can do, but there's so many other dark types that do what it does better. But it did get knockoff in ZA, so I think if it keeps knockoff, it might end up being like a lot higher tier. But unfortunately, for now, I'm gonna keep it like below Skunk. I think Skunk would do a lot more for your draft than Mabo. Bombardier is in a similar situation, I think. I like Bombardier a lot. Bombardier is one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 9. I don't really know why. I think it just looks super cunty and like its design is kind of cool. Its concept is cool. Being like a thing that drops rocks on people is really funny. You get knockoff, you get Parting Shot, you get U-Turn, you get Brave Bird, you get Stab on Rock moves, which is cool, and you get Stealth Rock. It doesn't get Defog though, unfortunately. So like, for most reasons, I wouldn't recommend Bombardier over like other dark flying types. But the reason I'm putting it in niche is because I think Bombardier should be like a 1 or a 2 point Mon, and I think you could use it as like a fun Pokemon. But I think if you're drafting anything worse than like Skuntank as your dark type, actually, you know what? For that reason, I'm gonna put Mabo down. I think if you're drafting like anything worse than like Mabo as your dark type, like you probably just like you're not drafting a dark type for a dark type. You're not drafting a dark type for what you need and what it can do. You're drafting a dark type to fill your typings. And I think Bombardier, unfortunately, is like you have a dark type to be a dark type, just to fill your check boxes. But I still put it in niche though, because it's kind of a niche Pokemon. Like you could use it as like a fun Pokemon. Like these guys can all be like fun Pokemon. These guys just are fucking useless, unfortunately. I think I might move Honchkrow up. Yeah, I'll move Honchkrow up. I think there's more reason to use Honchkrow. Maybe Shiftry? No, unfortunately. Okay. Anyways, I'm not gonna dwell on it. Like, some of these tiers are a bit jumbled, I feel. I might have to come up with a better system. Because there's like, Bisharp is a lot better than Honchkrow, for example. But there's not a lot of difference between like Crook and Gmaul, I feel. I guess it's not about how good the Pokemon is, it's just about how like should you draft it as your dark type, I guess. And like, does it perform as your dark type? Like, these guys, at the bottom of niche don't really perform as your dark type. Whereas like Drapion is just kind of outclassed, which is why it's niche, where like you're drafting Drapion if you got sniped like 5 times. If that makes sense. Brute Bonnet is very niche as well. I'm gonna put it like above Sneasel, Guzzlord. Put it above Guzzlord. It's a grass dark typing that's slow. I've seen it do well before, even from like not super great players that I will not name, but Brute Bonnet can do things. It has good mixed bulk as well, and a decent toolkit with like Synthesis. You get Spore, you get Sucker Punch, Close Combat. I don't think it gets knockoff though. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like it should get knockoff, but it doesn't. Jugulis is mid-tier. I actually think Jugulis is better than Hydreigon. That's where I'm gonna put it though. I felt kind of nasty putting it above Gmolt, but then I looked at the rest of the tier and was like, wait. I'm gonna put Mega Scrafty at the top of mid-tier. And then I think I like the Hydreigon forms together. Jugulis is better than Hydreigon. Its speed tier is a lot better. Boost energy gives it better move, or it gives it better like item. I'm sorry, it gives it more options. I mean, quite literally. Hydreigon, again, it's very slow, and you're not really going to be running like the bulky sets anymore. The only thing I think Hydreigon actually has over Jug is Stealth Rock and Defog. But Jug has so many coverage options that Hydreigon doesn't have, and I think Flying is a lot better than Dragon as a second offensive stab. It's a bit inconsistent, but as someone has used Jugulis before, Jugulis is my goat. I absolutely love Jugulis, and for some reason I feel like it's really cute. I don't know, like, Hydreigon isn't like cute as much as it is cool, but I think Jugulis is cute. There's something about the way it moves in game that I think it's cute. Next up we have Wo-Chien, which I'm gonna put in niche. I think it's a solid Terra Captain. I think it's better than Brute Bonnet as a Terra Captain. No, I think Brute Bonnet is a better Pokemon, if that makes sense, because it has better recovery, whereas Wo-Chien's using Leech Seed as recovery. Its tools are alright. It gets like Knockoff and Giga Drain and like Stun Spore, Protect. It's kind of all you're getting out of it though. Cool design. Chien-Pao is absolutely... Where did I just put him? Chien-Pao's banned. It's just Mega Weavile, Icicle, Crash Crunch, Sacred Sword. No switch-ins. Ting-Lu is gonna go in top tier. I'm gonna put it above Darkrai. I think Darkrai might be a better Pokemon. I think Ting-Lu's just it's too consistent to not be above Darkrai for me. I've used Ting-Lu like once, a couple years ago. At this point it was like 3 years ago, but I really liked Ting-Lu when I used it. It's super consistent with Spike's Stealth Rock Whirlwind. You get Earthquake, you get Payback, Ruination, Stone Edge, Rock Slide. It's just a good, solid Pokemon, and Leftovers is just good recovery on it, unfortunately. Like, it's so fat that sometimes like, Leftovers is just sustaining you for turns and turns and turns. Like, it just does not die. And I've seen Restock Ting-Lu too. Like, Restock Ting-Lu is like my worst nightmare to come across, because sometimes you just like, you see Rest and then you're like, fuck, what do I do now? Like, how do I kill this thing? And the answer is just, you can't. You just can't kill Ting-Lu. Chi-Yu is Chi-Yu's high tier. I think I'm gonna put it like below Absol Z. I used Chi-Yu once. I didn't really use it in a lot of games, and I don't think it really hit the field a lot. It had one really good game, but I think it's one of those mons where its typing requires you to run like boots, where it really wants to run like choice specs or choice scarf, but it wants to run both, and it can't have both. I mean, if it had both, it would be broken, I guess, but you have to pick between specs and scarf. If you're scarf, you might not two-shot everything or one-shot everything, and if you're specs, you're probably getting outsped by something, and if you're either of the choice items and you're not boots, and hazards are absolutely destroying you. But it's a good Pokemon. Roaring Moon is probably also top tier. No, it doesn't feel right. I've used Roaring Moon multiple times, and it was one of those mons where I would pick it like round 1 or like late or like round 2 maybe, and I'd bring it to like 40% of the games, just because like sometimes I couldn't really figure out how to get its moves to work, and then boost energy being weird, and like it activates as soon as you switch in, made me not really want to use it. But I think I've realized like you should probably just run choice band on it at this point, or like scarf, unless you can figure out a way to make it like an endgame cleaner. But for me, it was just it was a bit too hard for me to like figure out how to use it. So I don't think it's a top tier, but it is a really solid high tier that I think could get drafted round 2, round 3. Almost done. Oh wait, we are done. That was it. Was that seriously it? Let me dark type Pokemon. Oh yeah, Roaring Moon is the last dark type in the dex. That's kind of cool. There's 5 dark types, like, after Golden Go, every Pokemon from 1001 to 1005 is part dark. That's really cool. Just gonna make sure that I didn't miss anything, though. Cover those guys. There's only 2 dark types in Gen 7. That's cool. Only 2. Instant and Ghost Lord. The only dark types in Gen 7. Yeah, it looks like I covered everyone. So, thank you guys for watching. It was a really long video. Most of the videos are probably going to be just as long as this. The water video, oh my god. The water video might have to be a fucking two-parter. Even like the normal video might have to be a two-parter, but hopefully this can give you a bit more context on which Pokemon I think are good in draft, at least the dark types. You can kind of see everybody here. There you go. Yeah, you can see every Pokemon there. Cool. Might not be ordered the best. Like, I might put Spiritomb below, like, Guzzlord or Wo-Chien, but for the most part, I think, like, these rankings are, like, this is accurate to how I feel. I personally, like, again, there's always going to be Pokemon on, like, every list that, like, people are going to be like, why do you put this thing so high? I put Mandibuzz super high because it has a good win rate, I feel. At least when I use it, and it's one of those comfort mons for me, and I think for other people it should be a comfort mon too. Like, if you're trying to figure out how to use your team, Mandibuzz is a very good glue piece to help you figure out your team. And then even if it's not the best in every matchup, if you're comfortable with your team, like, you don't have to use Mandibuzz. It's one of those Pokemon at that point, like, your opponent has to prep for, like, two-shutting a Mandibuzz. Otherwise, they might just let it sit there, and Mandibuzz can kind of just sit on a lot of Pokemon. And you can run it physically bulky, you can run it specially bulky, you know. So, there's my tier list. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.